as far as wide as possible. That's what I've been doing for the past 30 years through my own practice, through having a school, the Center for Homeopathic Education, training people to be practitioners. Why? Because the world needs homeopathy. And the world needs homeopathy more than ever right now. Because the more that you empower yourself to take charge of your health and well-being, then the more that everything changes. Everything changes when you know how to use these remedies. So today, bumps and bruises. Okay, this is a really important area, I think, because if you can deal with acute situations like from bumps on bruises, then often they can sometimes lead into more chronic states. So I've seen this in my own practice where people have never been well since a bang on the head or a blow, or they've never got over some kind of trauma. So today we're looking at really trauma remedies. Okay, trauma remedies that you need to know and use and be part of your homeopathic kit or homeopathic collection of remedies. So let's get straight into it. So bumps and bruises, the top 7 homeopathic remedies. So what is a bruise? What is a bruise? So it's caused when tiny blood vessels are damaged or broken as a result of trauma to the skin. And the raised area can be of a bump or a bruise results from blood leaking from these injured blood vessels into the tissues, as well as the body's response to the injury. And a bruise is medically referred to as a contusion. Contusion. Concussion is what often with the head. Contusion is when you get from a bruise. And it's often a purplish, flat bruise that occurs when blood leaks out into the top layers of the skin. And that's referred to as ecchymosis. Okay. Now, if you do have a bruise or a blow, what's the best thing to do? Well, raise and support the injured part in a comfortable position. Hold something cold against the injury to help reduce the swelling. You can use an ice pack or a frozen bag of peas or vegetables wrapped in a tea towel. You don't want the ice to be directly onto the skin for at least 20 minutes. If the injury is painful, lie the person down and raise the area above the heart if possible to help slow the flow of blood to the injured area and therefore to reduce swelling. But if a bump or bruise becomes very swollen and very painful and you're concerned about it, then please seek health care professional advice, okay, just to check out. And that means any sort of, especially injuries to the head or any other serious injuries, always seek medical treatment as well. So let's look at some homeopathic remedies. So the first remedy, you guessed it, the number 1 remedy for shock and trauma or blows and for bruises is Arnica montana. So this is the main remedy for the shock or trauma or any injury. Any injury. It's the first remedy prescribed in most types of injuries. So when in doubt, give Arnica. As I've mentioned before, you should always have Arnica with you in your bag, in your car, at home. Have it within arm's reach, so you know where it is, so you can go to it if anybody has any type of injury, any blows or injury, anything. As you know, in other sessions and in other videos, we've covered this around strains and sprains. You should have it with you at all times. Even my son, when he goes to his soccer match, he has it in his bag. He knows when to take that remedy if he has an injury. So it helps reduce shock and relieves pain and reduces swelling and prevents bruising. But one of the key notes that people who need Arnica will say, I'm all right, I'm okay, I'm all right, after they've had a blow, an injury, a shock. That is a key note for Arnica. It's showing there's a shock state. They don't want really you to come near them. I'm okay, I'm all right. That's an indication for Arnica. So it's a good remedy for any image or damage to the muscles, to the soft tissues, and it can be taken before as well. So if somebody's going in for a surgical procedure, you can take it before and after surgery to prevent trauma, okay, and prevent bruising. Or maybe after dental work, take it before, take it after. Or labor, before, during, and after labor for both mother and baby. For both mother and baby. So you can give this as a prophylactic before as well as after. Okay, really important. And the symptoms of Arnica include soreness. They feel sore, very sore. They can feel as if they've been beaten. They can't get comfortable in any position. A bit restless. They move around because they can't get the bed may feel too hard. If they're laying in bed, it feels uncomfortable. And with Arnica, worse for touch, worse for pressure, worse for cold, worse for motion, and worse for any sort of jarring. Any jar. Better for rest and better for lying down. Arnica montana. Everybody should know about Arnica. People often get into homeopathy through what we call the Arnica experience, where they've had an injury, they've taken Arnica, and it's helped. Okay? Really, really important. I know many dentists who use Arnica, and they say it's remarkable. When they give it to their clients, it's the healing improves and quickly. Because remember, remedies like key to a lock, they're just stimulating the body to heal itself. Now, with Arnica montana, you can also get Arnica cream. So this is for bruises and minor injuries, but it should not be applied to broken skin. If the skin is broken, do not apply Arnica. You can use other creams like calendula, but do not apply if the skin is broken. But this is good for muscular pain, stiffness, sprains, bruises, any minor injuries or blows. You can rub Arnica cream onto the affected part. Apply sparingly to the affected area with gentle sort of massage, and 3 to 4 times daily you can use it. And you also, for contusions, as we said with the bruises, apply a small amount immediately at the site of the injury to help to prevent the development of bruising. So again, you can take Arnica as a remedy, homeopathic remedy, or you can take it using the cream as well. You can do both if you wish. But remember, do not apply onto broken skin. Next remedy, Bellsperennis. We've mentioned this now in quite a few of these sessions. So Bellsperennis is often called the deeper Arnica. So this is effects of blows to the soft tissues like Arnica, but it's the deeper. It's the deeper tissues. So they get soreness and bruise feeling. Remember, this is the daisy. So if you press on the daisy, it bounces back again. Okay, springs back. So this is for the soft, a deeper Arnica. And again, first remedy, injury to deeper tissues. So this is after blows, after falls, after accidents, again, after surgery. But they feel like the whole body feels bruised. The whole body feels bruised. But another keynote with Bellis is they get stiffness. They get stiffness, they get coldness, and swelling due to any blow or injury. So it's a good follow-up after Arnica. So I always say give Arnica first, and then you can follow on these other remedies. So you may give an Arnica, but the swelling still remains, give Bellis. Follow up with Bellsperennis. This is also a good indicated remedy for damage to the coccyx, to the tailbone. So somebody may have fallen on the tailbone, had an injury to the tailbone, then look at Bellis. There's other remedies we'll go into, but think of Bellsperennis. And they can also have a sore bruise feeling in the pelvic area or the uterine area after childbirth or after a miscarriage. So again, it's that soft tissue. Think of Bellsperennis, especially if there's been any intervention as well. So this is also a good remedy for injuries to the breast. If they've had a blow to the breast, injury to the breast, it's specific for any sort of blows or injuries to the breast. Better for moving, better for pressure, better for rubbing with Bellsperennis. Okay, but very, very sensitive. Even to cold baths or coldness, they're very, very sensitive too. And they can be worse for touch. So if you try to touch them, they can be worse for touch, but better for rubbing. Better for rubbing. Bellsperennis, what a great remedy. Great, great, great remedy. Next remedy, Hypericum. Now this remedy is best for shock and blows, bruising or crushing injuries to body areas containing many nerves. So think about the fingertips. Somebody traps their fingers in the door, crushes them. Anywhere where there's a lot of nerve, very, very painful with the nail bed. Any injuries to the nail bed or the nail bed's being almost ripped off or hurt. So the toes as well. Think of that area. They have, with Hypericum, sharp, shooting, radiating pains, which go from the injured part, often can go upwards as well from the injured part or away from the injured part. Any injuries to the spine, to the genitals, bruising or displacement of the coccyx. So again, the tailbone. Okay, so this could be from childbirth, where there's displacement, or from a fall onto the tailbone. Hypericum, great, great, great remedy. I remember a case I had with a lady. This is more of a chronic case, but she'd had hemorrhoids for 10 years. And it all started after she fell onto a tree stump, hit her coccyx on a tree stump, fell over and hit it. And she'd had hemorrhoids ever since. And she had this sharp shooting pains. The remedy I gave her, Hypericum, cleared them up. After 10 years. More of a chronic problem. This is why if she'd had that Hypericum in that acute situation, then she wouldn't have had that. It wouldn't have gone into a chronic problem. This is why these acute remedies are so important to give at the time. Nerve pain after dental work, especially if they've had root canal dental work, any sort of, again, injuries to that area or any intervention in that area. Whiplash and head injury, major remedy for whiplash and head injury. Feels of one of the weird, strange, and peculiar sensations. They can feel like they've been touched by an icy hand. Okay. Now you don't need to have that, but if you have it, that's a confirmatory symptom. It's what we call a strange, rare, peculiar symptom of Hypericum. But if you don't need to have that. But it's good specifically for whiplash and head injuries with the characteristic symptoms of Hypericum. So also worse for touch, the modality worse for touch, worse for pressure, worse for motion, again, worse for jarring, better back bending head back. They feel better when they bend their hand back, especially if they've had a whiplash and injuries there, and better for rubbing. Okay, so great remedy for any blows or anything where it's been on any area that's rich, full of nerves. Next remedy, Leadem. Now, Leadem, if they have a blow or injury, very painful bruises. The affected part feels sore, feels achy, feels bruised. And this can be after a puncture wound. So this could be after a vaccination. It could be from a blood test, given a blood test. It could be from an IV, intravenous. They've been given some intravenously, and they've all bruised since that puncture wound. Or again, after dental work, when they've had an injection. So Leadem is very much for bruising after puncture wounds. It's a puncture wound remedy. But any area that is bruised, it will feel cold. Okay? And it's Leadem is a specific for blows to the eye and for black eyes. And this is where the eye is all bruised or bloodshot, and there's aching pain in the eye. Okay? There's an aching pain. So think of this, Leadem, as a remedy for blows to the eye and black eyes. Again, you may think of Arnica. Think of Leadem as well. They can have a sensation of pressure behind the eyeballs as if they're going to be pressed out. Better for cold applications. Even though the part may feel cold, which bruised, they'll feel better for cold applications. Again, another strange, rare, peculiar symptom. They're better for cold, such as an ice pack. Worse for motion, worse for heat. They don't want any heat. And the bruise can have discoloration for a long time after the injury. The bruise, even though it might have an injury, the bruise hangs around for a long time afterwards. Again, think of Leadem. Next remedy, Ruta grave. This is sore, bruised bone pain with achiness and lameness and restlessness. So sore pain with aching, bruised bone pain, lameness and restless. So this is where you get a bruise, sort of bone covering anywhere where the skin is close to the bone. Okay, any injury. So you think about we're talking about in a minute, but things like the shin, anywhere where there's a thin layer, and it has an affinity to fibrous tissues of the body, the tendons, the ligaments, the connective tissue. And again, they have sharp shooting pains and stiffness like Arnica, like Hypericum, like rus tox. And also there's a big specific remedy for injury to the back and backache, which is better for pressure and better lying on the back. Okay, so they've had a blow, they've had an injury to the back, feels better for pressure, better lying down. Also good remedy for a twisting injury to the spine. They say they've been twisted. Or wrenching injury, think of Ruta. And again, I mentioned about the shin bone. So anywhere where the skin is very near to the bone and there's an injury there, a blow to that, you think of Ruta. Worse from cold, damp, worse for sitting, worse for lying on painful parts, better for warmth, better for heat, better for gentle motion, and better for rubbing. Okay. And this is a remedy that we covered in strains and sprains as well. So you see these remedies will keep coming up, but what you're looking at is their characteristic individual symptom picture. And it's like a game of Snap. You go, oh yeah, I've got 3 of those keynotes. When we talk about keynotes, yeah, that's the remedies, Ruta. Or you could be down to Arnica, Ruta, Rustox. You just got to make a decision and give one of them, see what works. Next remedy, sulfuric acid. This is for extensive bruising. Now, you might not get this over the counter, this remedy. You may get it from a homeopathic pharmacy. But I mentioned it in there because it's really good bruising remedy. Extensive bruising, where the bruise turns black or very, very dark blue. It can also go very yellowy. As you can see in the picture here, it's when it can go very yellowy and spread. So again, this is a deeper bruising than Arnica, or can be used when the bruise doesn't go away. So you may give an Arnica, it's indicated, but the bruise still hangs around. And like I said, it goes sort of yellowy and spreads throughout the tissue. Think of sulfuric acid as the homeopathic remedy. So easily bruising after a slight bump. So it can be a slight, oh, I only bumped myself slightly and it's all bruised. Because I see this a lot in elderly clients. And they can have bleeding inside the eye after injury. If they've injured the eye, they can be bleeding. And again, it goes yellowy in the eye. Think of sulfuric acid. Because here, the blood leaks out of the blood vessels into the top layer of your skin. And it's usually from an injury. And it can be like, half an inch longer or bigger. So it really leaks out, again, as you can see from this picture. So again, it's a deeper bruising remedy for Arnica when you've given it, but it just doesn't seem to go. It's still hanging around, but it also spreads into the surrounding tissue. Again, I've seen this when people have had Venflons, when they've had IVs going in, and it just spreads. Or they've had, again, a blood taken as well. Okay, Symphytum, bone remedy. This is known, this is Comfrey, Symphytum. This is a bone remedy known for its affinity normally for fractures and broken bones. But again, this is good for blows and injuries from blunt instruments, okay? And again, that whole area where the skin meets the bone, okay, where the skin meets the bone, and pain that persists. So you think about the face, the cheeks, the chin, we said that, back of the hand, anywhere where the bone is close to the skin. Now Arnica is more for soft tissue. Symphytum is more for the bone. Also, a specific remedy, which a lot of people don't know this, for injury and bruising of the testicles. So they've had a blow, could be in a sports injury, they've had a blow to the testicles, then Symphytum is a really good remedy for that. Blows and injuries to the eyeball, okay, the eyeball specifically, again, good for black eyes. Great pain with this, but there's aching in the whole eyeball. So we talked about Leadem, didn't we? Well, Symphytum is specific to the eyeball itself. Injuries to the coccyx, again, with aching pain. So if Hypericum fails and doesn't help, think of Symphytum. Okay, think again, it's where the skin meets the bone. Often you'll give Arnica first, but you may need to finish it with Symphytum. So you may have given Arnica, but you may need to finish it with Symphytum. Worse for touch, worse motion, worse pressure, better for warmth. Okay, better for heat, better for warmth. So as you can see, as we go through these remedies, some are better for heat, some are worse for heat, some are better for cold, some are worse for cold. Some are better for moving, some are worse for moving. It all depends on the characteristic symptoms of that remedy. And last, I've mentioned this one. I like to put this in if there's anything around shock or trauma or blows. Rescue remedy. Please do not forget this. This is a combination of the 5 of the original 38 Bach flower remedies developed by Dr. Bach. And it's got 5 individual flower essences: rock rose, impatience, clematis, star of Bethlehem, cherry plum. This is all for shock. It's all for trauma. When in doubt, again, like Arnica, carry rescue remedy with you, okay, until you can get to the homeopathic pharmacy or the shop to get the remedy. It will calm the system down and get it out of that shock state. So great remedy, rescue remedy. Again, when in doubt, even if, like I said, you're anxious before you go for the dental work, you can take rescue remedy. It will calm you down, or an operation. It's just a really good remedy to have, like Arnica, for trauma. So I always like to do a little summary around prescribing, because I got a lot of questions about prescribing. I always say stick to the 6C, the 30C potency, ones you get over the counter or in the remedy kits. And you can take one dose every 15 minutes intervals for 3 or 4 doses, or until the symptoms improve. So again, you can give it. It's an acute situation. You'll give it more often. And again, when you're prescribing the remedy, you're looking at the keynotes. The 3-legged stool. You only need 3 really good, strong characteristic symptoms in order to prescribe that remedy. Okay. And if symptoms persist, and you've tried 2 or 3 remedies, then you may need to see a qualified practitioner to deal with it. But as I said at the very beginning, if you can deal with these acute situations as they arise, then you're stopping them from going chronic. I mentioned a case there where the lady had fallen on a coccyx, and for 10 years she suffered from hemorrhoids. But imagine if you had that remedy within the first day or so of having that injury. So I see many, many people coming in with chronic injuries, never been what we call never been well since. Could be, again, falling off a swing as a kid. It could have been banging their head. It could have been falling over. It could have been that sports injury, that blow from the football. These things are what we call etiologies. And if you remember when I did clams, concomitant, location, etiology, modality, sensation, the etiology, if you have the etiology, if you have the cause, like never been well since a blow or injury, then I always say etiology over symptomatology. So if somebody's often had a blow, you would give them arnica straight away. It's the first remedy. And also it will deal with a mental and emotional shock as well as physical shock as well. So these are really, really important remedies. That's why I think acute home prescribing is one of the highest forms of prescribing, because if you deal with these acutes, you can stop it going into a chronic situation later on. So I'm hopeful that was useful, and please try these remedies, try them out, order them from a pharmacy over the counter at your local health food store, wherever you buy your remedies, but please use them. Then you'll see for yourself the effects of these remedies. Hi, Marcus. Would you kindly remind me of what the concept of the 3-legged stool means? You mentioned it at times, and I don't know what it means. I don't know whether I answered it, Joanne. So when I say a 3-legged stool, a stool often needs 3 legs. Okay? 3 legs. This is a stool, not a chair. I think a chair needs 4 legs, but a stool needs 3 legs, or 3-legged stool. So you need 3 good characteristic symptoms of that remedy in order to prescribe it. So like rust tox, for example. So rust tox, extremely restless, stiffness, and one of the modalities, it's worse first motion, better continued motion. That's 3 major legs of the stool in order to prescribe that remedy. Does that make sense? So you're looking at, when you look at these remedies, you don't need every single symptom I've mentioned for this remedy. You need 3 really good ones in order to prescribe acutely. Okay? To prescribe acutely, you need 3 of those legs to make the stool in order to prescribe. But often with homeopathy, if you give it and it doesn't work, then there's no side effects from that. You just now have to then look, okay, what am I missing here? So you're going to be like a detective. You're trying to find, the case. You need these characteristic symptoms the person's telling you. This is why, for all of you, go back and watch top tips of home prescribing video. It's on YouTube, or it's on on the Facebook page, and go back and watch that, because I talk about this. So when you're taking acute symptoms, remember your clams: concomitant, location, etiology, and modality, sensation. Because your modality is what makes things better, what makes things worse, what the sensation is like, can differentiate between the remedies. Oh, this one's worse. This one is worse for cold, but this remedy is better for cold. And the person, or my symptoms, or my little boy's symptoms, is that it's worse for cold. So that's what I need, a worse for cold remedy, not one that's better for cold. Well, guys, thank you. It's time to finish now, and I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found it useful. Please, please do use these remedies. As I say, spread the word about it. Until next time, may the vital force be with you all. And yeah, look forward to seeing you.